Hello, people. Oh, come on, hit that. Oh, you give me that sheet. Hey guys, let me know in the chat if the screen quality is better and my voice as well. Been trying to mess around with some settings and make it better than last time. Oh, why do you keep cutting to the fucking basket? Oh, that's hash. see the shot clock. Got my game sound off. Wow. No. Alrighty, people. Let's have a look what we got. So I believe I ended the stream last time. We did a basic front-on sculpt and just a basic texture on there. Today we'll be going on sculpting the side profile, the 45, and doing most of the modeling. Alrighty, this is where we ended up. Not too bad for a first look. Alrighty, so first off I'll show you how to blend the textures a little better. I believe I've already got it open in Photoshop, I do. Alrighty. So what we got here, this is our default layer. And then we've got, this is the one that we've texture painted on. So what we're going to do is grab what's that lasso tool. I'm just going to quickly outline the parts of the face that we want. Okay, select inverse. We've got to make sure we rasterize the layer and hit delete. So that just deletes everything else around it, keeps the part we want to keep. Now for blending colors, what I like to do is there's a bunch of different little things that go in it, and each case is different. It really depends on if it wants to blend well or if it doesn't. But I did this off camera, but I'll do it again. What I'm going to do is going to go image adjustments with the layer selected. We're going to go match color. We're going to hit the source, the face texture, which is the one we're on, and the layer background, which is the background our base image. That's done a somewhat decent job, but it's not perfect. So what I like to do is go with a 50 fade. So it sort of half does it. Hit OK. And to add to it, I like to duplicate the base layer and put it on top. Set it to color. And I'll go with a 50%. So the overall color, I'm happy with that. It is still relatively dark. So what I'm going to do is just put an adjustment layer on top of that, brightness and color. And by holding Alt and clicking in between the two layers, you can link them. So now this brightness only affects the texture below it, the layer below it. And that's what we're going to do. We're just going to slightly raise the brightness on it. Let's take the contrast down a little bit too. Alrighty, and now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to erase around the edges. In fact, the actual texture itself isn't that detailed. Like you can see the skin behind it is much more detailed. So what I'm going to do is pretty much just erase everything by the hairline with my erase tool. Might keep just the sides of it there to see how it lines up on the front view. erase all this here. I'll keep his goatee. Erase around it here. Come in, just fix those nostrils. I'm going to start off just by doing that where we weren't able to texture paint to, so these were the hidden vertexes. So the lips, I just like to quickly go across. Just make sure that middle section that wasn't painted is erased. And then I like to come in with a lower opacity brush and just blend it in a little better. Lower it again and just blend that top lip a little better. I like to do the same for the nose here. Sort of want to blend those two together, I might up the opacity. So I want to leave where the nostrils are, as they're slightly different in the texture. In fact, I might just erase where the texture paint didn't get to. Actually, just to match the colours, I'm just going to quickly paint over it. Just basic ones, Wes. I'm not going to. I'm going to save it for another stream going in depth. This is just basic blending them together. And then we'll go up here. Basically, want to color in where it didn't reach the vertexes because those are hidden in the nostril. Then, what I might do here too is just paint over this bit. Let's just match those colors a little better. So take a darker color, just go over it with a lower opacity brush. There we go, that'll work. And I sort of want to keep where the shadows are, but also bring that texture over the back. So I'm going to erase it with a lower opacity brush. So like around the nose and cheeks here. I sort of want to try and keep those shadows as much as I can. A little bit of there. Erase this moustache so that's showing. Also go under his chin here. So I'll lower my opacity brush again and just try and blend that beard in a little better. Down on the bottom there. Although I believe we'll be using a 3D beard, so it won't matter that much. Same with the top, lower opacity brush. We sort of want to keep where those shadows are a little bit. Probably not as much, so I'll go higher on my opacity. Sort of going around that hairline. Come down in here too. I might lower my opacity there because my brush got a little smaller. Same on this side. How's that looking? I got a little more on this side. Lower the opacity of my erase brush. Let's hit that again there. So now for the eyes, what I like to do is just pretty much, all this is the extra, like these eyelashes in the texture that we don't want in there. A little bit of the eye on this side as well. So I just like to go 100% and erase that. And I'll go back in with a lower opacity and just sort of blend it in. We want to keep those eyelid folds though. Alrighty, to me that's looking like a pretty good rough blend. Let's see how that will look. So we hit save it as an alpha channel. And like I said last time, what I like to use is a BC7 Define Linear. Then we'll put that in our game, see how it looks. So we'll open up this if file. Save texture in, and just replace it in our mods folder. That's what it looked like before, and that's what it looks like blended in. Actually, for modeling purposes, I might just blend that side hair texture in because we are going to be retexturing that down the line. It might be easier to model seeing where the hairline is. So just go on my erase tool and just sort of match up where they are. You'll see me when I'm making this model that I'll be flipping back and forth between Blender, Photoshop, and the game a lot and updating files. What I really am making it for the game, so how it looks in game matters the most. So you can get it looking real nice in Blender, but if it doesn't look like him in game, then there's really no point to make the Cyberface, you know what I mean? So what I like to do is just keep checking it and modeling little differences from what I see in game, not what I see in Blender. Face textures, I use Photoshop. You can, but I will be teaching it in Photoshop. I believe a lot of people use GIMP, which is a free software, I think. I don't know if it's online based or not, but I do see a lot of people using GIMP. I'm unfamiliar with it, so I can only really teach what I know, which will be in Photoshop. Alrighty, so that's happy with that texture. So now what we're going to do is save it as a PNG, so we can use it in Blender to continue our modeling. Alrighty. Just close that. I'll open up Blender. Alright, we're just going to quickly set it up like we did last time, but what I need to do is, this is our updated model, and if we go in the model folder, that is the previous model that we started from. So what I'm going to do is just replace that, replace. So now when we do the same thing and import it into Blender, it'll be our new model that we've done. Where is it? Tyler Harvey, files, model, high head scene, and import. Alright, so I'm just going to select the model, smooth shading, change the render engine over to Cycles Render. I'm going to set up the texture by selecting a new material, an image texture. And we're going to open up our face texture that we just saved as a PNG. So this face color here. Set it to textured mode. Switch to the correct views. Now there's one more thing I need to make sure. This is a very important step. You always got to hide the eyes. If you mess up the eyes without hiding them correctly, it can be very bad in game. You can have a lot of glitching. So always got to remember to hide those eyes. Okay, so we're going to work on the side profile. I don't normally do this, but for the sake of the video, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to add another background image and model from that. we're going to see how it turns out. So we go background image, open. Going to go where our images are. And this one here, I believe. Change it to front node. Alright, now we just got to scale it into place. Now, the reason I don't like to use side-on background images is because they don't always line up the best. You've really got to try and make sure it lines up with how the features are already, and you don't want to move them too much. Otherwise, because the eye level, the nose level, and the mouth level might not line up with the background image that you've used before. And if you move the eyebrows up too much or the nose out too much, it can mess up pretty much your front-on sculpt of it. But we'll try it in this video and see how we go. Normally what I like to do is just have the image to the side. Which actually, you know what, that's what I might do, because this is just not lining up properly. So I can have it off to the side. Should I do it like that? No. Okay, scratch that. So what I'm going to do is open up that image. Hiding the eyes is a game changer? Yeah. When I first started, the eye glitching was a big problem for me. And then I realized that you could hide certain vertex groups, but they still show up while you're sculpting and modeling. But it just doesn't affect them at all. Alright, so for the sake of the video, I'm going to put them on the same screen. Normally I have the reference off to the other side. Try and give myself a big enough window. So I'm not going to touch the back of the head too much. Basically what I'm focusing on is the shape of everything here. And then just like before, it's mulling it into place. So grab my sculpt brush. What it seems like here is his jaw comes out a lot more than it is in this default model. So I'm going to try and get the base shapes going right away. And we're just going to drag that out. Might zoom in a little more so it affects more. Don't really want to move it up. So what I'm going to do is going to go symmetry lock. So we've got to make sure our symmetry is on. So if we're affecting one side of the face, it'll do the same on the other. And what I'm also going to do is I'm going to lock the Z-axis. So now when we're sculpting, we can't move it up. We can only move it on the X and Y axis. So what I'm going to do is pull that out. I'm going to pull these lips out a little more. They sort of come on this angle. His chin also. I'm going to pull out that chin. Trying not to affect the jawline too much. So pull that back as well. Nose, the bridge of the nose comes out a lot more. I'm going to turn off my symmetry lock. What I like to do for the nose, I don't like to go straight from the top. What I like to do is go from the side, just a little bit in more. We're just going to drag that up bit by bit. Go a little higher. There we go. I'm going to bring this chin up a little bit too. So the nose is on a different angle, it's more straight up and down. Just angle it a little more. I'm going to bring this back in. The front of the nostrils look a little high too, so we might want to be careful when I'm going to try and move those back without messing up too much of that model. See here the break in the nostril as well at the back. I'll try and move that back a little bit. Just move the top of this nose up a bit too. So it's basically, you can use and set up the background image before. Like I said, I kind of just like to do it off eyesight though. Move the back of this nostril here. You see the cheeks stick out a little more, so we'll quickly adjust those as well. Bring that forward a little bit. Now the eyebrows are sort of pointed upward. So how can I attack this? Because we want to keep the eyebrow position where it is. What I'm going to do is bring this bridge of the nose in a little more. And what I'm going to do is basically grab my sculpt drawer and click it onto a subtract, and I'm going to set it on a very low strength and just try and take that bridge of the brow down more. Let's see how that's looking. Make it a little stronger. I only need to do the one side because it is on symmetry lock. A little bit higher up at the top here too. It's looking a little better. The eyebrows don't sort of slope down that low, so what I'm going to do is try and bring that up just a little bit too. I'm also going to bring the forehead out. And bring this hairline back to try and get that sloped angle there. Move the whole head back too if I'm going to do that. Alrighty, now we'll quickly do the ears. Ears are a little tricky because they're always not lined up the best with the other side of the face. Like I said, small movements are always best. Try and keep it as smooth and lifelike as possible. Bring this back in. Just going to bring that part of the ear lower. So I'm going to turn symmetry off and work on the other ear now. It hasn't messed it up too much, so I'm just going to quickly make some minor adjustments. Alrighty, so that side profile is looking alright in Blender. What I'm going to do is export it and just check, make sure how it looks in game. Like I said earlier, we're making it for the game, not for Blender. So we always got to be checking it back and forth with Blender, between Blender and the in-game look. So what I'm going to do is just export it, making sure again that my exporting location is different from where I've imported the model. Go back to File, so that's an exported model. What we need is PNG, so we'll open that archive and just simply replace it with the new exported model. Pop it back into the mods folder, and we'll refresh it in game and see how that's looking. Just take those down. Alright, so it didn't seem to mess up with the front profile too much. The side profile though is looking a little better. Let's see what we don't like. So that cheek seems to be a bit forward. This here too needs to come out a little more. Seems like the chin's coming out a little too much. It seems like the base of that nostril needs to come down as well. Also a different angle that I like to use as well. If we go to signature, go down to chew gum none, it'll give you a different angle of it. So that's a little more. So his chin is a little more angled up here too. Bottom of his jaw. We'll bring this nostril down and raise the nose up a little more. Might slightly bring that chin out as well. Like I said, work on the cheeks. So this is basically the tedious process of it, guys. We go back and forth between them. Basically just see all the little ones that we need to change. So we're going to go back to symmetry lock. I'm going to angle this chin up a little more. What else we need to do? So this looks like it can come out a little more. Here. It looks like the inside of this cheek needs to be rounded more. So if we move this up little by little, although that will be affected too with the 45-degree angle we're going to do. Also what I need you to do is angle this nose a little better. So I'm going to pull this down. Angle that nose up a little more. Because we drop the ears too, I'm going to drop the shape of the back of his head as well. So it sort of sits that correct way. Shouldn't be affected too much, but it's just a little too far out of the ballpark for what we're looking for, because we are going to put 3D hair on it. Just going to lower where the back of his skull sits. Bring it in here where his hairline sort of ends at the back. And go on a bit of a 45 and do it there as well. Alright, it's nothing immediately I can see, so we'll export it again, update it in game, and we'll see where we're at. So I think that bridge of the nose needs to come up a little more too. And sort of the actual placement of the nose itself. That nostril needs to come down and back more. Sort of lift it up here a little bit. And this is the very tedious process of it, guys. Alright, so let's see what we've got. So I wanted to bring the whole nose down a little. I'm going to bring this nostril down and back it in more. Bring the bridge of the nose out more. Bring the chin up a little higher, because the gap seemed a bit too big. Bring this up here and just bring the back of the jaw down a little bit. Working on that profile view, I see. Yeah, we are, JJ. Like I was saying before, if you did just join us, always flipping it back between Blender and in-game. Because we're making it for the game, not for Blender. So we've got to make sure it's looking nice in Blender, in the game. No, so at the start of the video, I don't know if you missed it, but we ended up blending that texture paint that we did on top. Then we saved it as a PNG, and that's what we're using as the texture in Blender. Also, I might want to bring this forward a little bit. Cheeks sort of puff out, his lips too, I might bring them out a little more. So we sort of got like it's inflated around his mouth. I'm not sure how much that is from chewing the gum. So what I might do is just take a look at some more reference pics as well. So as you can see from this one, it seems it doesn't come out too much. Kind of hard because of the lack of references, which I was saying before. What I might do is just sort of find a middle ground. Don't know if it comes out here, even if you zoom out actually. So I might try and angle that back. So let's see how she's looking. So I might want to just work on that profile a little better. But overall, I'm quite happy actually with how it is. So what I want to do is just bring this back a little bit here. Bring the top of this part out a little more. You still got a more defined jawline. So what I'm going to do is come in on this angle here, sort of just tuck that jawline in, get it more defined in game. Also, when we do our texturing, that'll help us as well. So I want to angle this back to where the chin meets. We'll give him his Adam's apple as well. seem pretty happy. I feel like this bottom of the jaw is going to come down a little more. So we sort of angle it a little better. That's what I think too, JJ. I think because he's chewing it there. The only really other side profile I have is here. It doesn't really help too because his mouth is opened as well. Bring it down a little more, but not too much. Without trying to affect that front profile too much. So it sort of widened it on the front, so we're going to have to go back and adjust that. I do think everything sort of comes out a little too much now. So I'm going to do, just slightly bring that back in. I might do as well, let's just sort of bring this throat forward. Angle it slightly differently. Chin definitely still feels like it's sticking out too much. But this is the model that we've used from. We can't really move it back too much because where the eye placement is, we've got to keep it there. So we've got to keep that in mind because if we try and move the eye placement back any more, we'll get a lot of eye glitching. So you've got to try and find a happy medium with it. Which, to be honest, I'm quite... at the moment I'm quite happy with where that is. I might do as well, just bring this hairline down a little more. Without trying to affect the ear. Maybe a little too much. Maybe bring it down even more as well, because you can kind of see that's all in one line there. The nose, the bottom of the ear, and the back of the skull. So what I'm going to do is slightly move these ears up, more rounded. Just bring this down even more. Sort of be on a 45. We're definitely going to have to resize the head too. Looking at it compared to the body, it is quite large. What I'm going to do now is move on to that 45-degree view that we have. Which I think we have a good one. That here is what I'm going to use. Let's use that in the blender. Okay, so the bottom of the jawline is much more angled. He is slightly opening his mouth, so we've got to take that into consideration as well. What I'm going to do is just bring this here and sort of deflate his cheeks on the side there. Somewhat matching the angle. Bring this cheek up higher a little as well. Sort of coming from this angle. Just bring this out. It's basically just a lot of trial and error until you're happy that you've captured the likeness as much as you have. As much as you can, basically. So you're saying you got some jagged edges on the cheekbone. That's where you can use the sculpt tool, but you got to go the smooth tool, sorry, but very low strength, and sort of just tap it in like Happy Gilmore. So like, so I'll get rid of that because that's not what I want. You can see it sort of on the eyebrow ridge here. So what we can do is just ever so slightly. Try and use a larger brush, because what this smooth brush does is basically everything in the area of the circle around the cursor. That's where it tries to make that one flat plane. So I've got a little bit here too. So I'm just going to smooth that out. You don't want to do it too much because you'll mess up the texture, the topology. You'll also match up where the textures are mapped, and also the wrinkles, like on the forehead. If you smooth it too much and your topology loses these like smooth lines here, that's where you can get weird animations on your wrinkles. What I'm also going to do is go back into this front view mode and see if there's any adjustments to be made. How's that looking from this angle here? Especially down in that chin area. So that's about where it's at. So what I want to do is pull the corner of the mouth back in. I want to try and pull this up and out. Sort of got to put his chin out a little more as well. some jagged edges on the chin as well. So slightly just hit it with the smooth. Let's see, is there any way to keep that to a minimum while I edit? Really just small edits, and after every small edit you do on that front view, you can check if it's changed that so much. So say if you're like sculpting the front and you've got to bring the eyes out a lot wider, instead of just bringing the eyes out wider, so you sort of just bring out the whole face with it as well. So that could help as well. What I might do here is just use my sculpt drawer on add. Try and get that extra depth in the chin this way. Also, if it's caused any jaggedness, just hit the smooth tool there. Just bring the front of this chin out a little more as well. I'm not liking how that's looking from that top angle. So another brush I like to use is the crease brush. Like I said, with a low strength on there, and you see these, how it's sort of rounded up around the nose tip there. So I'll try and do it on here as well. Also see the nostril sort of pulled in, so I'm going to grab around that vertex area and pull it out. Affected that nose. Turn mirror off and do this side. There's not much vertex to play around with the nose, so you've got to be careful. So put mirror back on and sort of bring those nostrils out a little more. You see there's some jaggedness happening here. Let's try and smooth that out a little. Alright, before we go any deeper, looks like we've got to export it, see how it looks in game. Oh, good JJ, that's what the stream's for. Just trying to help all you guys out. If you have any other questions, if anyone else has any stuff like that, just let me know. So I'm sort of just going into the flow with this now. I feel like his nose is definitely more hooked than it should be. I feel like this line too, where the sort of nose hits, actually needs to be in more on this side. The chin and the bottom of this seems to come in a little more. Found if you make some pretty cool arm sculpts, you can increase to... Yeah, definitely. That's what I was thinking. I think that's what Josh does. I'm not really the best at body edits, but I feel like if you put the actual arm textures on, you can see where it is in the texture that you should be creasing. Also, what I've noticed too, the bridge of his nose comes out a lot more on the front profile. So I'm just going to hit that now. And there's sort of a crease here, and it's sort of angled differently. I don't know if that's just the shadow of the picture, but we will try and recreate it here. I'm not trying to mess up that side profile so much, neither. It's a little too much because of eyes. I might just gently put a smooth brush in there as well. I feel like his face is just a little too long as well, so I'll shift that back up. Maybe the eyes too. I feel like the eyes are slightly too slanted. So what I'm going to do is just slightly bring this side down. Bring this corner up a little. And let's see how that looks in game. I think what I'm going to do with the eyes is just round them slightly more so this left eye, and where it comes up on the bottom is sort of just straighten it up a little more. And also you can see now that I've moved them up, they don't really line up with the eyes that well, so I'll adjust that as well. So adjust his nose while I'm here. Alrighty, I'm liking how this is coming along. What I might do as well, for sake of symmetry, is just slightly move this nostril down more, it looks. And then what I think we'll do is we'll start texture painting a little more as well. I do feel like this chin as well is still coming in and out more. So pull that forward. Slightly bring that back more. Go to the front view and take off our mirror symmetry. And just sort of bring this side of the nose down. Let me know in the chat if you see any more changes you think that would help out as well. Maybe the shape of the mouth too. So if we make it slightly wider, make sure our mirror is back on. Seems like there's not much space between the bridge of his nose and his eyes. So do you mean like... What do you mean by that, JJ? I feel like I need to bring these nostrils out too real quick. That seems too pinched in. Might lower these eyebrows as well. So I should like bring the eyes in closer? Is that what you're saying? I still just need to do a little more work on this eye here as well. So I'll turn off the symmetry. And yeah, this one's a lot more rounded at the top here, shaped better. So what I'll do is I'll bring this down. What I'm also going to do here is I'm going to add my sculpt draw. You can sort of see his eyebrows more out. So what I'm going to do is just sort of add to him here. So bring him out a little more. You can see this little glitch in here. Pull that back in. That's this part here, so we'll pull that back in. So do this corner of the eye in. So now we've added to that on both sides. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get my crease tool. I'm going to go one by one with my crease tool. I'm going to go over the eyelid folds. So it sort of adds a little more dimension to the Cyberface here. So you can see like the eyelid folds aren't just a texture, they're actually in the model as well. We'll go over on this side as well. Alrighty, let's see how that looks in game. Yeah, I'm liking that. think maybe his head's a little too wide. This was his rookie shoot. It looks like... because I don't really have a good straight on, but it looks like now in his pros, his face is a lot narrower and a little longer. I might try and do here too. Let's just see how that sort of flows here. We might try and replicate that as well. Capture on, make sure our mirror's back on. So you might just want to bring this out a little more. Maybe lower this cheek. He is pulling that expression, so that would be pulling it down. But like in and around here, seems it can be in more. Top this hairline, pull it out a little more. Sort of try and get more of that natural flow. Also might just see how it looks if I squish the face in a little more. Maybe not with bringing the face in. You might keep it like that. What I can see is happening here is this chin sort of out too much here. So I'm just trying to bring that in and sculpt that a little better. There we go, I'm liking that. Might hit that a little with the sculpt. I'm just going to take a quick break, guys. I'll see you back in 5 minutes. Sorry, I just got to go to the bathroom. Alrighty, I'm back, guys. Sorry about that. Alrighty, so I'm just going to do this nose a little more. I'll bring this nostril out too. And we'll slightly bring it down. Just check to make sure that we don't have any eye glitches or anything. I like to go on signature, just play around with the intense and the chewing. Doesn't look like we have any glitches. Looks like the model's moving quite well. What I might do as well is just widen this forehead and bring the top of this out a little more. Oh, make sure I'm in mirror X mode. So we'll just bring the forehead a little wider and bring this in here a little more. What I might do as well is I'll just see how it looks. So I think trying to get this angle here, I've sort of rounded this edge off a little bit more than I would like. So I'm just going to bring... I think it's more so on the right side than the left. So I'll turn my mirror off, just bring it up slightly. We'll go back to mirror and we'll also drag closer to the ear out. Also bring that back here out more. We'll bring this in. So it feels like, I think we're getting there. This is the tedious part, just little slight adjustments. So we'll model a little bit more in this stream today. And then tomorrow, I think I might stream again. And then we'll go into much more in depth into the textures. think I've gone a little too much on that left-hand side, so we'll bring that back. On the right-hand side, apologies. Work on this chin a little more too. Okay, I'm quite happy with that actually. I think I might leave the stream there for today. Tomorrow I think I'll come back at around the same time and we'll go into depth into texture painting. So we'll do our texture painting, what I do in Photoshop. We can do the alphas, normals if there's time. But for right now I think the modeling is much more improved on yesterday's. And I think that's where I'll leave it off. Alright guys, so like I said, tomorrow I'll be back, so make sure you join me there. The replay of this will also be uploaded to YouTube, so you can watch it whenever you want. Go back. I've time-stamped the first one. I'll also time-stamp this one if there's any more particular things that you need to go back and watch. But thanks for joining me guys, it's been fun. Peace.